And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim General Manager at WEIU TV and Radio. We have guests today from the Charleston Community Unit number 1. We have Kristen Holly. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you.
We have Chad Burgett.
Thank you.
And back in the back, the big guy, Superintendent, Mr. Todd Vilardo.
Thanks again for having us, Jim.
Well, I'm glad you all came in and we get to see you in person, which is kind of a nice change from the last couple of times we had on. So we're hoping that things are moving forward. And so let's just talk a little bit like maybe where we're at right now in Charleston in terms of, in-school virtual learning and as we gear towards when graduation is and those important dates over the next, 5-6 weeks?
Yes, we're looking forward already to next school year, and right out the gate, I'm just gonna say it. We're looking forward to beginning next school year under normal circumstances and normal schedules. Of course, pending any, higher powers that be shutting us down. But we're really looking forward to exciting things for kids in the fall. But gosh, guys, where do we begin? It's when you're in the thick of the pandemic, serving in schools, it's been a blur. It's kind of looking back. It's a bit of a blur for us.
I think everybody kind of feels that way when you think about all the changes and almost weekly changes sometimes, right?
Yeah, from mid-March of last year through this year, and keeping the students and the staff and playing our part in the community to keep community health a priority. And so we're doing great things for kids, though, and moving forward. I always tell people that as a superintendent, I'm the luckiest superintendent in the state to have the supportive board of education and high quality, effective assistant superintendents in Chad Burgett and Kristen Holly.
So, Kristen, with that being said, as we look towards the next few weeks at Charleston, is it split right now, or is it in person? Talk about it, and do you think it'll stay that way? I know we've had a slight uptick lately, which in Illinois. So tell about where we're at right now.
Right now, we are in attendance full 5 days a week. We are still on our early dismissal schedule, so the students are dismissed 2 hours early. But the afternoons, the 2 hours remaining, we're using that for time to tutor students. Many students stay in school. We're providing transportation for those students to come to get home at the end of the day to get some extra help from some of the learning loss that they might be experiencing.
What do the students ask you? What do they talk about most?
Right now?
Yeah, just about the pandemic and schooling and all the changes.
Truthfully, we still are hearing a lot of gratitude for being in school. I think it was one of the pleasant surprises when students came back in November. All of the students that were back in school were just incredibly grateful to be back. I think they value their education even more than they did before. Being at home learning was for so many students not optimal, so they're glad to be back with teachers, with their friends, with at least some in-person instruction for at least a majority of the day.
And Chad, for the teachers, when you talk to them or work with them, how do they feel? Are they glad it's in person, or were they getting used to the virtual? Or can you give us an update on that kind of their?
I think without a doubt they were glad to see the students come back, and then just to see their faces. And it took a while to get back into routines for some of the students. Some kindergartens weren't in session at all first quarter. So I think just getting a chance to see them, as Mrs. Holly mentioned, spending the afternoons bringing some of them back, trying to get them caught up academically is a big priority right now.
Now, I come from Mattoon, so I'm going to say this from the Mattoon point of view. A thing that I've seen that, at least when I talk to my students in high school, is the grading and the posting the grades online. It seems to have gotten delayed during this pandemic, and stuff's not getting processed as fast. Do you have that issue in Charleston? And do you think there's a reason because of all the changes of why, or am I just kind of throwing that out there because I kind of want to know personally, but I also have talked to other parents who say that's the biggest issue is kids just don't know where they're at grade-wise?
I think some of that might be due to the word that we've used a lot is grace. We've been providing students, particularly those that are remote learning or students that may be struggling still with some COVID-related issues or quarantines, that we're giving students extra time. We're providing, maybe some students a little bit more wiggle room with getting things completed. We're trying to help students get caught up. So again, they're coming in the afternoons. And so that may delay things a little bit. I also know that teachers are still they're managing both in-person students and remote learners, and so that's a considerable challenge for them. They have students on their computer while they're also teaching students in person, so they still need to make contact with those students and families after hours. So it's put a lot of challenge on our staff for sure.
There you go. Now for summer school, Chad off mic, you said there will be summer school, so Todd or Chad, whoever, but I mean, you go ahead with in-person for the summer for the people that need the kids who need the classes?
I'll let you both address that, but just in general, we have always had summer school for our children for many, many years, and the additional funding that we are receiving from the federal government through ESSER 1, 2, and 3 grants are allowing us to expand after school and before school tutoring programs and our summer school programs. And we were a little concerned that we might not get a lot of teachers signing up to teach summer school, but we're very pleased with the amount of teachers that we had sign up for our summer school teaching program. Chad and Kristen?
Yeah, going back to what Dr. Vilardo mentioned about the ESSER funding, so through federal funds, we're able to offer summer school. It looks like we're going to run about 5 weeks from June 14th to, I believe it's July 15th, 4 days a week. And then we're working with food service to ensure that students are provided meals for breakfast and lunch. And then even if you're not attending summer school, we're going to try to open those up to community members who may have children at home looking for or in need of a meal.
Oh, wow.
We're expecting over 300 students possibly that are going to be eligible to participate in summer school. We have a number of teachers, almost close to 30 at this point, that we're looking at employing for providing small group instruction during the summer. We have some credit recovery programs that we're looking at Charleston High School, so those students are able to recover credits that they may have lost during the pandemic.
And Jeff, I should add and emphasize that the funding that we're being allotted is to be spent over a 3-year period. So the summer school strengthening that we're engaged in now is going to be longer than just this summer, because as we know, there may be some learning loss and learning gaps that are not going to be mitigated in just 1 year. So it's
it
going to take
gives a
several
couple of years to really catch up if they lost a class or two.
Yeah, and Dr. Vilardo mentioned the after-school tutoring during the school year. That will continue throughout the period of the grant as well. We'll have students even next year and the year after that will be able to stay after school and get some of that extra time with their teachers that they need.
Do you know yet how many people are graduating from Charleston High this spring? Or roughly, I guess?
Usually it's around 180.
Yeah,
I'm not certain of the exact number for this spring, but I suspect it to be between 160 and 180.
And what are the dates and plans? Is it going to be in person with limited parents and limited family? Or what?
The high school principal, Mr. Aaron Locke, and his team are scheduling an outdoor ceremony for May 21st, and it'll be at Trojan Hill. And we do have some rain dates as well, May 22nd and the 23rd, and those are all scheduled for 8 p.m.
Okay, that's neat. We got lucky. I don't know when we scheduled you to come in, I didn't really think about it, but this is the week of the Coles County Clash football game, and I'm definitely outnumbered being on the other side of the county here. So but I think it's important that we do go over some of the new changes and rules for this Friday night, so our communities know what they can and can't do. So I don't know if Todd, if you want to take the lead on that, or all of you, and just talk about what people can and can't do this Friday at EIU.
Yeah, I'll start just by saying that we're grateful once again that the EIU staff and athletic department, sports department is allowing both Mattoon and Charleston High School to utilize the O'Brien Stadium for that event. It's a great partnership that benefits the community. We've had lots of support through the years, and again, it's scheduled for this coming Friday night. And we have limited seating, limited tickets available. The tickets are not being sold. They're being provided first to our students who are athletes on the football team and their parents, and then limited seating to some students, for example, on a first come, first served basis, for example, from our high school seniors to some staff, such as other coaches and so forth, to provide adequate supervision to assure that we have the social distancing in place for Friday night as well. And there will be no band performances, dance performances like we have had in the past. We used to have the band and the dance team do a joint routine and joint performances. We will not have that this year.
We'll have it in the fall, though, right? Knock on wood.
Let's hope
Yes.
so.
I think the dance teams, aren't they doing virtual over the big screen?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
They're working on
Trying to do that. Yeah, okay. Well, it'd be kind of neat. No tailgating and I think entry
Correct.
Yeah. And there's a later entry, right? You can't get, if I'm right.
There's no tailgating permitted, and once you enter the game, there's no re-entry.
Okay.
So if you leave the game, you will not be permitted to re-enter the game.
Okay. Cool. And there will be some concessions from EIU. I did find that out. So people, if they don't have time to eat before the game, there will be a little bit there. So that's all good. Chad, I want to talk to you a little bit about, you usually come in with some ideas about some changes or work that's going to be done. Do you have idea? Are there still going to be things happening at the Charleston campuses this summer and into the fall?
Yeah, even though we're in a pandemic, we've been planning for facility changes. The Board of Education's approved some of those. So bids are going out soon. Probably we'll have board action in May, but we're looking to replace the parking lot on the Lincoln 130 corner. So I call it the Pilsen parking lot and the Real King parking lot. That'll be replaced. We're looking at $1 million roof replacement at Charleston Middle School, some Drivet repair, HVAC repair. So we've got a number of things going on. The big one that I'm probably the most excited about is we're renovating the Bana Chorus classrooms. And then not this summer, but going into next summer, we're looking at a $2 million renovation to Swickard Auditorium. So our fine arts department would receive about $2.7 million in renovations. So I'm excited about that. Also at the high school, not this summer, but next summer, we're in plans to renovate what's currently called our ag building. I know Mr. Locke has been working with Mrs. Holly and the teachers there. We're going to try to add some of those programs that we've seen kind of fall away over the past number of years, but we're looking at remodeling that building and then adding some staff out there to provide opportunities for students. And this is a good chance for the 1% sales tax revenue, which I'm so grateful to have, to kind of merge and marry up with curricular changes we've been looking at. So I'm really excited about that.
That's good.
Coming forward.
Any comment from either of you on those?
Yeah, I should add that, of course, the pandemic has not ended, but for the last several months, we've been challenging our entire administrative team to consider what our schools will look like post-pandemic. And so with the onset of those ESSER dollars, not only are we looking at enhancing our facilities, but we're also going to be adding some staff and enhancing or resurrecting some programs that we had, in particular at Charleston High School many, many years ago, to re-engage students, which is part of the ESSER funding purposes. And I can't even get into all the details, Jeff, but we're getting ready to present to our Board of Education on Wednesday night. There's no harm here in sharing some of those details. Chad's mentioned some of the facilities planning in the works for the next 3 years. Kristen and Chad both have been working on those ESSER 1, 2, and 3 grant budgets. And feel free to share what we're looking for to enhance staffing as well in the next few years.
Yeah, what's coming back?
Sure, we're looking forward to, we've been with competency-based education that's been underway for a couple of years. We've talked for many years about bringing back hands-on opportunities for our students, such as industrial arts, construction trades, really building on, as Mr. Burgett mentioned, to that ag building out there, look at maybe a greenhouse and have our students have more hands-on opportunities. We're also happy to tell you that we're going to have some journalism courses. We had them a long time ago, and we're bringing those back. We're going to have some really exciting additions to some of our career pathways at Charleston High School. We're going to look to bring back our child care program. It's really, as Dr. Vilardo said, about re-engaging students back in school. And for so many students, getting hands-on experiences, giving them opportunities for internships outside of the school. Those are things that we've been talking about, and some of these ESSER grant funds are allowing us to kickstart some of those programs.
Well, and like I told you off air, and I'll say it on air, we have a partnership right now with one of your interns, Shay Littleford, and she just done a great job for the Radio and TV Center here at EIU this semester, or this whole year, actually. And the only bad thing is she's not coming to EIU. We wish she was, but she's a heck of a ball player and got a great offer, so we can't fault her for that. But you guys are to be commended for that kid, because she's a good one. We'd love to keep her. So
yeah, we think so too.
I mean, we actually, another one of your alums is helping out on this show over there, so it's kind of a cool Charleston day here at EIU. The one thing we have to talk about, there has been a slight uptick in cases statewide and nationwide. How have you seen that? Has there been any effect in Charleston? Does it make you nervous, or talk about that?
Yeah, Chad, I'll start out. I track the county and the city data.
Yeah.
And then we match that against the local school data. And Chad tracks that, so I'll let him address the school data.
Within the school data, we're not seeing an increase right now. We've had our first we have one teacher in quarantine Friday, and that was the first time in about 3 weeks we've even had a teacher with quarantine. No teachers have been diagnosed positive with COVID. And on the student side, I believe we're up to 9 students in quarantine with 1 positive case. So our numbers have really been low the past month or so. We haven't seen an uptick, and we went through spring break, and I thought, well, I wonder if we'll see an uptick. Didn't see it. We went for Easter break, and I know students went to see family members, and just haven't seen the uptick that we've seen statewide. Again, this, as Dr. Vilardo mentioned, this is just Charleston numbers, but they look.
That's good news, though.
Yep.
Well, we love good news, right?
Yep.
You started the show, Dr. Vilardo, with talking about that you full force 100% in person in the fall. Does anything have to happen for that to happen, or is it just as long as we keep doing what we're doing and the testing and continues to go forward?
Yeah, so again, we are anticipating and planning to open in-person learning with full-day schedules in the fall, pending the governor coming in and shutting us down, or the ISBE IDPH indicating that we have to provide remote learning for all students, that sort of thing. Also, Chad monitors data on vaccinations and other mitigations what are we in? We're in Region 6, but Chad monitors across the state. Locally, we've had over 260 of our school employees vaccinated. And as you might be aware, those vaccinations are being open for children 16 and over now. So we're cheerleading folks getting their vaccinations, because that just helps us with the bridge phase. And Chad can address a little bit more about that, how that works.
Sure. 2 of the metrics that Governor Pritzker laid out and DPH was 70% of the 65-year-old and older be vaccinated, and we exceeded that. And also 50% of the 16 to 64-year-olds. We're at 49, I think, 0.3% this morning. So we've almost hit another big benchmark. And if we can hit those benchmarks, we're hoping to see, more openings and opportunities for everyone. Especially, we've seen an uptick with the number of attendees with sporting events. With graduation coming up, it should be nice if the state were to meet the state metrics, if they would open it up, which would allow more people to attend those.
And I know the
activities.
The vaccinations and the word mandatory is making a kind of a nationwide, turmoil is a bad word, but it is a little bit, because you have to be careful of how you say it. So Todd, you mentioned it was kind of, you're a cheerleader, but what a 16 and 17-year-old kid, you can't make them get vaccinated, right?
Correct.
So how do you cheerlead and kind of go by the rules as well?
Yeah, we push the information out from the county health department on our district's website and our Facebook page to encourage folks to not only follow wearing the mask, watch your distance, wash your hands, and so forth, but we communicate the opportunities for folks to get vaccinated, and understand that we are committed to opening up full day with in-person learning. And that means two things that we need to do that really held us back this year from opening on full day schedules, and that is the social distancing and ensuring that we had proper distance between students and staff, especially during lunches. And part of the barrier for that was ensuring that we had enough supervisors to provide planning time and so forth for staff. And so that was a big barrier for us that we're committed to overcome next year, and that may be, if we need to, hire additional supervisors for next year. Also, the big one was, I mentioned before, the remote learning requirement. We're waiting to see what the ISBE, Illinois State Board of Education, does in terms of requiring the opportunity for families to have their children engage in school through remote learning. One good thing that we learned about this experience is that it validated what we said for years, and that there's nothing that can replace, no computer or computer program can replace a caring teacher in the classroom and in-person learning. So we're looking forward again to next year. We're committed to opening up full days, and that also means strengthening our remote learning platform, and Mrs. Holly can address some of that as well, how we may be looking at doing that.
Okay, Chris?
So this past year, of course, and in the spring, one of the things that we took pride in Charleston is that we had our teachers teaching students remotely. In the fall, even when we were not in school, our teachers were in their buildings. They were teaching students from behind the computer screen. And moving into going back in person, our teachers were still teaching students either synchronously, or we had teachers that were assigned specifically to be remote learning teachers. And as I mentioned, it has been a strain on the teachers to manage both of those. So moving forward, if we're required to offer remote learning in the fall, we would need to be looking at some kind of a platform to help us provide that remote learning for students that, for a health reason, maybe needed to stay home and not continue in-person instruction. We're, of course, encouraging students to get back as much as possible, but we understand there may be reasons why students won't be able to, and if we're required to provide that, then we're going to need to think about something different for the fall to take that strain off of our teachers, but also to still provide something research-based and quality for our students at home if they need to be there.
Yeah. And one of the things that also was lost is that there was no student teaching over the past year, right? Student teachers were really not part of the curriculums in a lot of schools, or they weren't used the way they used to be, and maybe that's something, do we think that will be able to come back in the fall? Or?
We had student teachers, that's one, we did have student
Okay.
teachers with us. We just did not have as many observers and not as many, say, practicum students as we've had in
Yeah.
the past. They have been back in our schools for some time, but student teaching was very challenging for those poor, what a unique experience they had.
They're trying to get out of college. And
Right, they started the school year behind computer screens with their cooperating teachers, but we've been grateful to have still our EIU student teachers with us all year.
Just speaking of being grateful, I might reiterate that some people were under a false belief or impression that our schools were closed this year. Just as a reminder, the governor did close schools last spring, but our schools have been open throughout the course of the year, albeit first quarter under remote learning. But I want to praise and show some grace and express gratitude again publicly for our staff, especially our teaching staff, our custodians, secretaries, and so forth, the paraprofessionals. They've been working throughout the entire pandemic to provide instruction for our children, and the parents understand that. The parents understand, and they've been very supportive of that. But we have been open for instruction, although remotely in the first quarter and under early dismissal schedules for the rest of the year. But they've been working extremely hard and extra to provide instruction for kids.
There's a lot of changes and good news going on at Charleston. You said there could be some job openings. So when will those get posted, and when will people know what they can expect to apply for? And because I know there's going to need for teachers all across the country, so there's a challenge out there for double challenge. You need them, and there's people also wanting those same people.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. There is a challenge there because we're looking to add some staff positions during a teacher shortage. But that may mean that we shift some employees currently serving in a classroom to some other positions, or we're looking to increase staffing in terms of instructional coaches, interventionists, some CTE programs, and teachers at the high school, as Mrs. Holly mentioned. But yeah, we're looking forward to great things in the coming years. And again, it's not just for 1 year. We're looking to plan ahead and strengthen all of our programs across the district over the coming years.
Those positions, sorry, Jeff,
Okay.
those positions are posted now.
Oh, they are?
So
All right.
we encourage people to get on and check our website. There are several positions posted now that we're getting ready to start interviewing for.
And there may be more
may
positions
be more.
that will be posted in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Mrs. Holly and I spent even this morning, right before we came here, looking at some financial projections on the impact of adding 2, 3, 4 more staff members. So we're still working on that right now.
I'm sorry if I forgot, but did you buy computers for all your kids? And so,
Yes, we did.
Do they return those in, or how's that work for the business side? Or do you have to buy more every year?
Yeah, well, we're going to collect those at the end of the year,
Okay.
and one position we have open is another tech position, because to manage 3,000 computers, it's a little more than what 2 people can handle.
I
So,
would think so.
so we are looking to collect those and then do a refresh maybe 2 or 3 years out, and again we'll be looking at some of the federal grant money to help with that.
And you said the school board meeting is this week, Todd?
It is Wednesday evening at 6:30, and it's a substantial agenda. But again, there's a lot of positive things that we're looking forward to in that agenda.
Well,
for
yeah,
the
with the
coming years.
curriculum, extensions and additions or comebacks or whatever you want to call it. And obviously, I'm interested in that journalism one. Knock on wood for the future. So yeah, that's exciting news, though.
It is really exciting, and I can't wait. I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to drawing some closure to the pandemic and moving on and getting back to doing some great things for kids in the coming years.
There you go. I mean, I think you were one of the first people we got on after the pandemic hit about a year ago. But what have you learned? Each of you learned from the pandemic. I mean, there's always positives that come out of every negative. So, anything that you know that you just...
One of the things that I mentioned again is the value. It validates the value and the importance of a live in-person teacher. Now, we didn't have computer programs serving our kids. We had teachers, again, sometimes remotely serving kids, but you can't replace the care of a teacher right there supporting and motivating a child. Beyond that, I'm grateful for our school community and working together and sticking together through this. We saw across the nation a lot of divisiveness, especially between parents and teachers. We saw some of that locally, but by and large, folks in our community stuck together. I'm so grateful for that.
Ted?
I would echo what he said, and then just our staff, and not just teachers, but our paraprofessionals, custodians, everyone really stepped up to the plate. And I know I mentioned the tech department earlier. It was tough getting those computers out, but they were willing to come in and put in the overtime to make sure that those were in the hands of students and teachers as soon as possible. I think our custodians have done a great job with the extra cleaning that we're doing in our maintenance department on setting them up to be successful as well.
I think resiliency and flexibility have been some important words that we throw around a lot, but I think this year our staff, everyone, our community, parents and students have proven that resiliency and flexibility is what we've all had to be. We had so much momentum going before pandemic, and then it just sort of detoured us. I keep saying it was a detour. We're going to get back on track and get back to all the great things we were doing, and we're starting to see some of that happening now. So
the lights at the end of the tunnel, I think everybody feels a little bit better than we did, obviously, a year ago, but even a few months ago. Just a little bit of time left, so the last question will be a fun one. Who wins Friday night, Mattoon or Charleston?
No, Charleston's going to win.
I believe that the Trojans will come out victorious. But I really think it'll be close. I do. I think it'll be a good game.
It'll be a good game.
I will say this. I think it'll be one of the closer games in recent history, and I'll admit, somewhat nervous that Mattoon's winning streak is got a chance to go down. So I'll give you that. But I still got to be rooting.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, you're due, right?
We're due.
Well, I appreciate you all three coming in. I know it's busy. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, we did have our mask on right before the show, and we're all 6 feet apart. And as soon as we're done here in a minute, all the masks will be on. So if anybody's out there worried, we're fine. So appreciate it, Chad, Todd, and Kristen. Great seeing you. Appreciate all you do for us as well.
Thank you.
We are WEIU. Everybody have a great, great day.